Hello, myself Dr. Dinesh Patil. Welcome to my channel Digital Forensics for Beginners. In this video, which is titled as Live Volatile Memory Forensics, a practical demonstration of the digital forensic investigation of the Windows 10 based computer system volatile memory, that is main memory, is performed. In order to perform the digital forensic investigation of the volatile memory, the main memory of the Windows 10 based computer system, Windows Debugger tool is used. The Windows Debugger is a multi-purpose debugger tool and it can be used to debug the user application, device driver and the operating system itself in the kernel mode. In this video, mainly the various volatile memory structures, how to access those various volatile memory structures which are created in the volatile memory by using the various kernel debugger tool are demonstrated. Also, what are the various the process which are created in the volatile memory and the handles which are associated with those particular running process or the handles which are created for those running process. Also, how to identify all this information, that is the running process and the handle associated with the running process. They also have been demonstrated in this particular video. The identifying the running process is having its own forensic importance. So because we can identify if there is a malicious process is running in the volatile memory. So that is one of the advantage or the application of doing the volatile memory forensics also. Another aspect is that whatever suppose a malicious insider have used a particular application in order to access certain file which is sensitive file, so that also we can identify by using the live volatile memory forensics. How it can be identified? Let's say take an example that a particular individual or the malicious prospective malicious insider have used the Windows Office, Microsoft Office Word, and it has used some kind of some document by using the Word. So certainly for the Word there is going to be a running process that is going to be created in the volatile memory, and for the Word, so it will have so many handles created for that. Handles are nothing but a reference to the various objects so which are created or which have been loaded in the volatile memory, and these objects are associated with the running process. So the objects can be the various key object that are whichever the objects related to the key, so those are called as key object which are open in the volatile memory. So a particular running process may require the registry key. So for that purpose, the registry key objects are created. So by using the registry key object, so finally the running process is able to access the registry key values, and that particular registry key value is obtained from the registry key hives, so which are also being loaded into the volatile memory. Also associated with that means the handles which are associated with the particular running process also is having one of the object that is called as a file object. So the file object, by doing the forensic investigation of the file object, we can identify the what kind of files have been opened by the running process. So if a particular application like a Word have used some kind of a sensitive file or would have accessed the sensitive file, certainly the details of that we can identify from the volatile memory analysis itself. So a particular organization, in order to monitor their the employees, in order to identify the malicious insider, they can use the live volatile memory forensics without letting the others or the employee of the organization they are being observed. So for that purpose, the whatever the computer systems are there, they are required to be connected. That means they are used to be have some network connectivity, either by using the LAN. So a particular computer which will work as a host computer is required to have the Windows debugger installed on it. And by installing the Windows debugger, we are required to connect with the target computer which we want to monitor for identifying the malicious activity. So from the remote computer, that is a host computer, we are going to debug the target computer. So certainly the target computer and the host computer, they are required to be connected with each other, either by using the network, that is local area network, or by using the various cables. So by using which we can debug or either do the forensic investigation of the volatile memory. So the kernel debugger of the Windows debugger tool, it supports the various commands in order to do the forensic investigation of the volatile memory. So in this video we are going to demonstrate the various commands of the kernel debugger in order to identify the various forensic important information such as running processes and the handles associated with that particular running process. Also the VADs which are created for the particular running process. VAD means the virtual address descriptor. This particular structure is created for a particular map file. So this particular map file is the file which is required to be completely mapped into the main memory. So the particular VAD tree structure is going to be created for a particular running process. So under the VAD tree structure there will be very many VADs will be there, and each VAD is going to be associated with a map file which is mapped for that running process. So in the VAD it specifies the range of the address which is meant for that particular file which is being loaded completely in the main memory. So by using the VAD we can identify or we can get the address for the particular memory map file where it is loaded into the volatile memory. So that is possible by doing the digital forensic investigation of the live volatile memory also. So now we'll begin with the actual demonstration or the practical demonstration of the Windows debugger. Windows debugger installed onto your computer system. So already I have installed the Windows debugger onto my computer system. So we have to open this particular Windows debugger in the administrator mode. So right click on the Windows debugger menu and click on the more and go to the run as administrator. Now the Windows debugger will get open for us. Now in the Windows debugger we are having the various menus which are available to us. So click on the file and go to the kernel debugger. So we'll open the kernel debugger. So in the kernel debugger we are having the various options such as NAT, USB 1394, local and the COM. So these various options are meant for connecting your host computer with the target computer. So the host computer is the computer which is having the kernel debugger is running on that particular computer system, and the target computer is the computer which is required to be investigated or which is needed to be debugged. So if I are selecting the NAT option, so that means the host computer is needed to be connected with the target computer by using some network like a local area network. So we can connect to a particular computer system, the target computer, by using the NAT, and we can perform the volatile memory, the live volatile memory forensics of that particular target computer, or we can say that we can debug the target computer. Another option is the USB device, that means USB connector. So we can connect the two computers. One is the host computer which is having the debugger running onto it, also the target computer. The target computer is the computer which is needed to be debugged, whose kernel is needed to be debugged. Also we are going to perform the volatile memory forensics by using this kernel debugger. So whatever the activity that is happening onto the volatile memory of that particular computer, target computer, we can identify by using the various commands of the kernel debugger. Another way is the 1394 connection cable. So in order to connect the two computers, the host and the target computer, we have to use the 1394 cable, and then we have to specify the channel for connecting with the target computer. So that way also we can do the remote that means debugging of the remote computer system, that is a target computer system. Another option is the local option. That means your kernel debugger is running on the same computer system or which is to be debugged. So here in this particular video, I am going to demonstrate the local option. That means how we can debug the local computer systems volatile memory. That is the kernel debugging of the local computer system. Also, we are going to we are going to use the kernel debugger command in order to extract or identify the various volatile memory structure by using the various commands of the kernel debugger. And also we are going to get the various important information such as the running process, the handles which are created for that running process, the VAT structure which is created for the particular running process, how we can get that information by using the various commands of the kernel debugger. So that also I am going to demonstrate. Then another option is the COM option. That means the two computer system, so they can be connected in the by using this particular option, that is a COM port. So we have to specify certain parameters, and by using those parameters, the computers, the host computer and the target computer, they can be connected. Now we'll go for this local option. So now we can see that the kernel debugger is now open. So we'll maximize this. At the bottom, in this particular space, we can use the various commands in order to access the various information from the volatile memory. Now, one of the important structure that is created in the volatile memory is the eProcess structure. So what is the eProcess structure? Whenever a process is created in the volatile memory, the eProcess structure for that particular running process is also created. The eProcess structure specifies the various attributes or the field which are associated with that particular running process. So how we can access the particular structure of the running process, that is the eProcess structure. So by using the command, that is dt nt punctuation symbol underscore, then type here eProcess. So by using this command, that is dt space nt punctuation symbol underscore eProcess, we can get the access to the eProcess structure, a generalized eProcess structure, which is going to be common to all the running process. So dt stands for the display time. So we'll click on this. Now we can see the structure, that means the various fields which are there in that particular eProcess structure. So just we'll scroll up to see what are the various entries from the top, or the attributes or the fields in this particular eProcess structure. So at the top you can see that, so there is a particular structure, the data structure itself within the eProcess structure, that is a PCB, process control block. So this particular process control block, it specifies the entire data or the information for the running process. So the entire data for the running process is available in the process control block structure. Then there is another important field, that is the unique process ID. So associated with a particular running process, there is a ID is created. A particular process is uniquely identified by using a particular ID. So that ID we can get in the field of the unique process ID. Then we can get also the time at which this particular process was created. So for that purpose, just we have to search for one of the attribute, that is a create field, create time. So this is one of the attribute which gives at what time the particular process was created in the volatile memory. So we can get here at this particular location, that is 0x468. So we are having this create time field. So the create time gives the time at which the eProcess structure was created. So certainly, whenever a particular process is created in the volatile memory, at that time itself, the e-process structure itself is going to be created. So the forensic importance of this field is that we can get the time at which the particular application was opened by an user. So that details or that forensic important information we can get from this particular field. So actually here we are not able to see anything, but there is a data type is specified large integer. That means the particular value is going to be of type large integer. Since this is a generalized data structure for all the process structure, so there is no value are specified, only what kind of field, okay, what type of value we are going to have in that particular attribute or the field, so only that is specified. Another attribute that is of importance is the word root. So we'll see search by using this find option, find tool. So here type word root, so we can search where the word root is available, because there are lots of number of entries are available, so it becomes difficult to find out the particular attribute. So that's why I use the find to search for a particular attribute. So you can see that the word root is available here at the location 0x78. So as I said earlier, the word root is a kind of a root word node. Okay, so for every running process, a word tree structure is going to be created. So whatever the files which have been mapped entirely into the main memory, so for those particular files, a WAD is created. For individual file, a WAD is created. WAD is nothing but a virtual address script structure, and that WAD structure specifies the range of the memory range which is used for mapping that particular file in the volatile memory. So that is being specified by using the WAD structure. So, but this all the VADs are arranged in a hierarchical tree structure, and at the top of this hierarchical tree structure, there is a root node that is called as a VAD root node. So, if you get the virtual address, so this particular VAD root is going to have the value for that is some virtual address. So, by converting this virtual address to the physical address, it is possible to get the access to the root node. So from the root node, we can get the left child and the right child of that tree structure, and that way we can move on to identify to parse the entire tree structure. So we can parse the entire tree structure beginning from the VAD root. So in the left child or in the right child, it is going to have the virtual address of the next VAD node. So each VAD node is going to maintain the addresses, the range of the addresses for those particular VAD. So from that we can get the physically the location of the particular file which is mapped into the main memory. So that is possible. So that is the forensic importance of the some of the field. Now another field is the process environment block. So you can see here. So this is a PEB, that is a process environment block. Is it also maintains the information for the process. It maintains the detailed information of the process. In this particular field, actually this particular field is mainly used by the operating system. Okay, so that is the that means from this particular field, the operating system can get some detailed information about the running process. So these are some of the attributes associated with the e-process structure. Now we'll see another structure, that is a WAD structure. So what are the various fields in the WAD structure, so that we can get by using the command dt space then t punctuation symbol underscore mmwad. So by using the mmwad, we can get the access to the what is the structure of the WAD structure, so that we can get. So now here at this this on bottom, we can see that what is the WAD structure. So there are various attributes like first prototype PTE. So this particular first prototype indicates the page table entry for the first page which is mapped by a particular WAD. Okay, so what are the first page is there? Okay, because Uh, if you see, that means page we are having paging techniques, paging virtual memory technique if it is used. So the first page which is mapped into the volatile memory, so its address we can get by using the first prototype PT. Then another is a last contiguous PT. So whatever the last page of the particular file which is mapped into the volatile memory, so its address we can get from this last contiguous PD. Okay, so that's why I said initially that this BAD, BAD, okay, the BAD structure gives the range of the addresses for a particular file which is mapped into the volatile memory. Then we'll discuss about another structure, that is a processor control block structure. So for that purpose, we have to use the command dt space anti punctuation symbol underscore kprcb. So it is a kernel processor control block structure, and it maintains the CPU information. That means for a particular process. Okay, so you can see that the detailed information is there. It's a very big structure. That means it's having many attributes associated with that. So the important information for the CPU is maintained in this particular kernel processor control block structure. So we'll see what are the some entries which are available for this kernel processor control block structure. So now we are having the entries like ideal halt, then we can have the next thread. That means the ideal threads or the particular thread which are not running, so that details we can have what is the address of that, the what is going to be the next thread, okay, which is going to be executed by the particular processor. So such details like the CPU ID, okay, so what is the identification of the CPU, okay, so here it is mentioned that CPU ID. So that kind of details we can get from this particular kernel processor control block structure. Okay, so that is possible by using this one. So it is a kind of a structure which is being created in the volatile memory to specify the CPU information. Okay, so that is whatever the details related to the CPU, so that we can get from using this kernel processor control block structure, like the identification for a CPU, okay, what is the next thread which is to be executed, or what is the thread that are ideal. So those such details we can get from this one, this particular kernel processor control block structure. Now there is another structure like process environment block. So that already we discussed. So we can obtain the structure for that by using the command dt space anti punctuation symbol underscore PEB. PEB stands for process environment block. So now again it's a very big structure, and the entire detailed information for a running process is maintained in this particular process environment block structure. Like here, one of the field is a image base address. So image base address, it specifies the base address for the portable executable file associated with the running process. So whatever is the base address, that means where this executable file is loaded in the volatile memory. So the address of that, the physical address of that, we can get from this image base address field. So that is possible from this one, and the operating system certainly it can make use of these kinds of process environment block structure, okay, to understand the particular process how it is working. So that is the one of the few attribute. There are many other attributes which are having the main important that means importance for the operating system. So the operating system make use of the process environment block to understand the about a particular process when it is running. Then there is another structure that is for the object types. So in order to understand the particular the information which is common to all the object of the same type. So in order to understand that, we have to use the command dt space nt punctuation symbol underscore object underscore type. So by using this command, we can get the information about that means which are the common to all the object of the same type. Okay, so what are the objects are there? Okay, and those objects which are of the same type, so their information we can access by using this particular command. I made a mistake, it has to be underscore. I just typed there hyphen. So now that has created the problem. Now this is the particular structure for the this object type dt space and nt punctuation symbol underscore object underscore type command. So by using this command, we can get the information which is common to all the objects of the same type. So what is information? Like total number of objects of a particular type which are open in the main memory. So that what we can get from this particular field. Then the type list. So whatever the objects are which are open in the main memory or the volatile memory, so they are arranged in a circular list. So that the list, the beginning of that list, okay, and the ending of that particular node, okay, of that list, okay, so that we can have the entries here in the type list. So all the objects which are of the same type, so they are arranged in a circular list. So what is the starting node for that circular list and the ending node of that circular list? So their details are maintained in the type list field. So that we can get from this particular attribute. Also the total number of handles which are open for that running process. So that details also we can get from this particular field. Then another command which is of important to the forensic investigator is dt space nt punctuation symbol underscore file underscore object. So by using this command, the single instance open of a particular file can be tracked by using this particular structure, that is a file object structure. So by using this particular command, that is dt space nt underscore nt punctuation symbol underscore file underscore object, so we can get the access to the single instance open of a file. Okay, so that we can access. So this file underscore object is a structure. So that is the structure for a particular single instance of a file that is open. So what are the various attributes under this particular field? So like here the type. So this particular indicates what is the type of this particular file. Whether this particular type of this particular file is for a some data type like so by using this particular structure, that is dt space that is underscore file underscore object structure, we can get the various details about a single instance open of a particular file. So the type is one of the fields. So we can get what is the type of this particular file, what is the size of the particular file, that also we can get. Then another thing is about what kind of access we are having, whether read access, write access, or delete access. So those kinds of access what we are having for that particular single instance open of a particular file, so that we can get from this command. So file object is a structure, and that structure, what is that particular structure, we are obtaining by using this entire command. Now the another the structure, that important command in order to access the key object. Okay, so whenever a particular running process is created in the volatile, when a particular process is created in the volatile memory, so that particular process may require certain key object. So how we can access those particular key objects? So that we can access by using the cm underscore key underscore body structure. So how we can access the structure of that particular key body, so that we'll discuss now. So we have to use the command dt space anti punctuation symbol cm underscore key underscore body, and click on this particular thing. So whenever an application opens or create a registry key, so the configuration manager, it allocates a key object for that particular registry key, and this particular registry key object works as a handle to the actual registry key. So that particular key object, it leads to the key that is being used by the running process. So the key object structure we can access by using this particular command. So in this we can have the various field, like the key control block, which is itself is a structure, itself is a data structure. So the key control block structure is having its own forensic importance, that we can come to know how many times or what times a particular key have been used, or registry key have been used by a particular registry, by a particular running process. Okay, so the key, by using the key control block, we can access what is the time at which a particular registry key have been referred, and how many times the registry key have been referred by a particular running process. So that what we can access by using this particular field. So now we'll see the structure of the key control block. So again we have to use the command, that is display type space, then cm underscore key underscore control block. So this cm underscore key control block is the structure of a particular, that means is the name of that particular structure, that is a key control block. So this is the structure of the cm under key control block, and is having various field. So one of the important field that is of importance is the KCB last write time. So KCB key control block last write time. Whenever a particular registry key is being referred by a particular application which is open in the running in the volatile memory, the last time at which it was accessed, so that gets updated into this particular field. So from this one can understand at what time a particular registry key was accessed. So certainly it can also be helpful in getting the timing or the operations at which, that means sequencing the activities also. Okay, so by using this one we can get the sequencing of the various activities that have been performed by the user on the systems. Okay, so in one of my video on the Windows registry forensics, I discuss about this, how we can do the sequencing of the various user activity based on the Windows registry information. So certainly for that purpose we are required to know what is the time registry timestamp. That means this is also related to the registry key timestamp. So by using this one, the registry key timestamp, we can obtain. This is nothing but the KCB last write time is nothing but the timestamp that is associated with the registry key. So that by using which we can access at what time a particular registry key was accessed by a particular running process. So by using that, we can get the access to the various activity that have been performed by the user on that system. Okay, so the sequencing of that activity we can perform by using this one, KCB last write time. So these are the various volatile memory structure. Okay, and their forensic importance. So every volatile memory structure is having some attributes or the fields, and each every particular field is having their own importance. Now we'll see how we can use this kernel debugger in order to get the information about the running process, how many processes are running in the volatile memory, so how we can access that. So in order to do so, we have to use the command process 00. Punctuation symbol we have to use, and then we have to give this command process 00. So this specifies 00 specifies all the running process. Okay, so we have to specify the all the running process which are in the volatile memory. Certainly, if I are able to get access to all the running process in the volatile memory, if suppose malicious process is running in the volatile memory, so that also we can identify by using this particular command. Okay, suppose if we maintain a database of the legitimate running process, so if suppose some process does not fall under that legitimate running process, so certainly we can conclude depend also that that is something kind of a suspicious process. So just we have to click on this command, and you can see that we'll get the list of all the processes which are running in the volatile memory. So it is giving the all the entries for all the running process which are now open in the volatile memory. So whether it is a system process or the user application so process, so that is the listing is given in this after clicking on that command. So it's a huge list because there are many processes which are running, like mainly system processes are running. So taking some time because there are many processes. So it's giving the listing of all the processes as running. So now it has stopped. So let's say we take one example of this particular process. So we are having the name, the title as process, and after that we are having the virtual address of the e-process structure for that running process. So this is a 64-bit system. So certainly we are having the particular address. Okay, the virtual address is of 64-bit. So that what we are getting here. So now this by converting this virtual address to the physical address, we can go to the e-process structure, just that what we have just recently seen. So whatever the attributes which are associated with that particular process, okay, and their actual value we can get from this one. So let's say again another is a PowerPoint. Now we can see that PowerPoint is running. Okay, because here you can see that this is the Microsoft PowerPoint which is open in the volatile memory here. So now that is also shown here that we are having this PowerPoint is running in the volatile memory. So its e-process structure is given here. Its e-process structure the virtual address is given here. So we also can get the address, the eProcess structure, and what are the attributes and its value by using this particular address. Now we'll see how we can obtain that. So for that purpose, just I will copy this virtual address of the eProcess structure for the PowerPoint.exe. So I will use the command dt, then -b nt eProcess, then space, give that physical virtual address. I think I did not copy. I will have to copy it properly. Okay, now we are having this particular command, and by using this particular command for the PowerPoint process, PowerPoint.exe process, whatever the eProcess structure is created, so we can get the detailed structure of that eProcess structure. So we'll come use this. What is the here after the eProcess, we have to give the virtual address of the eProcess structure. So click on that. So now we can get the expanded view of the entire field. So now what are the fields? So just we'll give a glance look at it. We'll have a glance of it. Like here the PCB, process control block. So process control block itself is a structure. So that what we can get here, and the what are the fields in that, so that what we are going to get. So by using this -b option, if there is a structure is there within as an attribute, so that structure get expanded, and whatever the values associated with that structure are also represented there. Like for the PCB, process control block structure, whatever the attributes are there and their values are displayed here on this side. Similarly, for the others, also we'll see the create time. Let's say we'll go for the create time from this one. So we'll understand what time that particular process was created, eProcess structure was created. So you can see this is the value. That means we can convert it to the, so this is now in the hexadecimal, so we can convert it to the particular proper format, time format. Okay, so that is going to be there the time at which a particular process was created. Similarly, the vad root address we can obtain is by using this vad root. Say search for down. Okay, now the vad root for this is available here at the bottom at the address 0x78. So 0x78 is the address. That means it's going to come at that location 0x78. So if you elongate this, the virtual address for the root vad is here. This is the root address, virtual address for the vad root node. Okay, so which is at the top of the hierarchy of the vad tree structure. So by if you make use of this, so we can get the entire tree structure, vad tree structure. So let's say we'll elongate this, we'll make use of this particular virtual address in order to obtain the vad, all the vads which are associated with the PowerPoint.exe process. So for that purpose we have to use the command vad and then use this virtual address. So this apostrophe symbol we have to take out to get the entire the 64-bit address. So now this is nothing but the vad root node address, which is at the top of the hierarchy of the vad tree structure. So now just click on this command. So we have to use the vad, which is a command. Okay, so by using the vad command, we are going to get the entire vad tree structure. So now you can see that this is the vad tree structure. What are the vads which are created? Okay, that means a particular vad is created for a particular memory map file. So the particular file which is associated or which is required for a running process. So wherever the particular file is mapped into the volatile memory, so the range of the addresses or the physical address of the first page and the last page is maintained in the WAD, individual WAD. So we'll see for the PowerPoint.exe, that is executable process, portable executable file. Certainly the portable executable file is also a map file, and that map file is also required to be loaded into the volatile memory. So where are for a particular PowerPoint.exe, let's say this is this is a WAD tree structure. We can see that there are many WADs are created for in this for the PowerPoint.exe running process. This we'll have to scroll up to get the PowerPoint.exe. Okay, now we have reached to the beginning of that command. Now this is the command that we have used, and we can see that this is the on this we are having the WAD. Then this is the virtual address of the individual WAD. This is the virtual address of a particular WAD, and at what level in the hierarchical tree structure it is present. So that is the level is set of this particular WAD. Okay, and it is starting the first page of this file which is mapped is at the B90. That means you have to convert it to the physical address. This B90 is a page table entry, and similarly the ending page is mapped at the B9. So will be required to place a particular that means convert this virtual address to the this particular uh, entries. This is the PFN, that is page frame numbers. So these page table entries are required to be converted to the physical address. Okay, so these are going to give the physical address of the first page, that is the starting page, and the ending page for a particular file which is mapped entirely into the main memory. Like here, these are the various file like this md api.dll. This is a particular map file which is required to map. It is a read only. That means the user or any other application can't do any changes to this particular file. So it's called as a read only file. It's a kind of a kind of access that is given for this particular process is mentioned here in this column. And what type of file, whether it's mapped or private, and so all those things are given in this particular column. Now we'll search for this PowerPoint.exe map file where it is available, and it's WAD. Certainly for PowerPoint.exe file, the WAD is also required to be created. Where is it is? So other way we'll use the find power pnt. So you can see that now we got this PowerPoint.exe is WAD where it is mapped. Okay, so this is the virtual address for the WAD which is associated with the PowerPoint.exe. So this particular WAD is for the representing the where actually PowerPoint.exe file is stored onto the main memory. Okay, so that is we can obtain the range of the address. So these are the range of the address. Okay, this is actually not a complete physical address, so we are required to convert this particular entry in the page table, okay, to the particular physical address. This is the ending page frame numbers entries. So those are entries are needed to be converted to the physical address. Okay, so that what we can obtain. So where this particular at that particular location, because any memory map file they are required to be stored in the contiguous memory location. So we cannot store that one page here and another page somewhere else. So that is not going to happen for the memory map file. So all the memory map file are required to be stored in the contiguous pages. So suppose this is the beginning of the first page. Okay, this particular page frame number entry in the page table. So this is going to be the ending of that particular page, the last page for the powerpoint.exe. So that address, this is that means we can obtain the address, starting address of the first page, which is going to be mapped into the volatile memory, and the starting address of the last page. So that what we are going to obtain by using this one. So that way we can identify what are the files which have been mapped, okay, for a particular running process in the volatile memory. So another thing is that what kind of objects which are open for a particular running process. So that also we can identify. So what kind of the files or the objects which are open for a running process. So how we can obtain? So now let's say we have taken this powerpoint.exe, this virtual address also we already identified. So we'll make use of that virtual address of the eProcess structure for the powerpoint.exe. So this is the virtual address for the eProcess structure of the powerpoint.exe. So we'll make use of this and we'll use the command handle space 0 comma 0 space 3, and then we have to copy this particular virtual address for the eProcess structure of the powerpoint.exe file. So copy here. Now this handle commands gives the all the handles which are open for a running process. Handle is something kind of a reference for the particular objects which are open for the running process. The object can be file object, device object, or key object. So those can be the various types of the objects which can be open for a running process. So now we'll identify what kind of objects which are open for the running process, that is a powerpoint.exe. So for that purpose, what we have done, we have used the command handle, then we have given the parameter. So 0 is for getting all the handles, and the eProcess structure address, virtual address for the eProcess structure for the powerpoint.exe. So click on this. So we can get all the handles which are open for this particular powerpoint.exe running process. So one by one we are getting the entries for all the objects which are open for this running process, that is powerpoint.exe. So you can see that it's having the various object list it is giving. So it's taking some time to complete the action, complete the activity of finding out of all the objects. Okay, so after going through all the objects in the volatile memory, finally we got the list of all the objects which are associated with the running process, that is PowerPoint.exe. So we can, as you can see, that there are number of objects which are being opened for this particular running process, like the objects like ETW registration, then we are having the event and section mutant. So there are some kind of objects. Apart from that, there are the objects like a file, that there are some objects like ETW registration event, and then the key which are being used by this particular process, the section, and the others kinds of objects are also there. So one of the important object is a file object. So from this particular file object we can understand that what kind of file is being opened by this particular running process. So in this example, in this you can see that the powerpoint.exe file is running. This particular process is running. So the name of this particular file that is open is live volatile memory forensics. You can see that. So the name of this file is a live volatile memory forensics. So we can search that by using the file, by using the find. So let's say here I will type live. So that is already typed here, and we have to search, let's say, in the upside. So this will see that. Okay, now we can see that this particular name of the file, okay, that is live volatile memory forensics, this particular data file is open. That means this is a file object. Okay, so that means whatever the files that are be open, so that details also we can get from the volatile memory forensics. So that's why suppose a particular malicious insider have access a particular application and he has tried to open a particular data file. So the name of the particular file which have been accessed, okay, by the malicious insider, so that also we can get by using the by performing the volatile memory forensics. So that's why there is a very big forensic importance of performing the live volatile memory forensics in order to detect the malicious insider. So whenever a big organization they wants to identify some malicious insider, they can go for such strategy where they will be doing the debugging of the some remote target computer. That means they will be doing the digital forensic investigation of the volatile memory, live volatile memory of the remote target computer by using the Windows debugger on the host computer. So in this video I discuss mainly about the what are the structures of the various volatile memory structure, their attributes. So that what we discuss, and their forensics importance. Also we discuss how we can identify various kinds of the processes which are running in the volatile memory, what kinds of handles have been created for that particular process, and how we can identify a particular running, that means the particular file that have been accessed by a running process. So those details we discuss in this particular video. So if you are like this particular video, please subscribe to this particular channel by clicking on the subscribe button. Thank you.